And good morning, everybody. Hope you are having a great start to your day. Welcome to the Uniqueness webinar, workshop, I should say. We're going to do a little bit of work here today. And thank you, Nargis, for that introduction to SCORE. Everyone on the call, I really hope that you're taking advantage of those resources and benefits that SCORE has to offer you. And we're really excited to bring you this Uniqueness workshop here today. A little bit about me. I am Ken Rickerman. I'm a sales marketing strategy specialist. I've spent a lot of time in corporate America in my career, and now I work with local businesses and try to help them compete the best they can against the big brands, and it is very possible. My big mission is to get the word out that we really all need to continue to shop with the local small businesses. I know that we're not going to give up our Amazon or our Target or Walmart. There's some convenience and price advantages there. But there's also a lot of advantages to continue to shift money into the local small business with tax revenues and employment and a lot of benefits there. So just keep spending the money at the local small business. We really will win out on the back end, if not right from the very beginning. All right, so jumping right in. Uniqueness. Why should I buy from you instead of your competitor? Probably one of the main questions that I ask businesses when I consult with them, because you better be different, because it's a jungle out there. And it's not enough to be a different kind of animal. In other words, a different kind of business, right? Because we have all of these animals here. They're all beautiful animals. They have their own distinct features, but you really can't compare an elephant with their trunk and their tusks to a lion with their mane or a zebra with their stripes, right? It's very obvious what the differences are. So the uniqueness is obvious there. But the real question is, can your prospect tell your product or service apart from your competitor's product? So within your niche, in this case giraffes, right, it's a little more difficult to tell the difference between one of the giraffes as opposed to the other, unless you have someone like this, Gemina from the Santa Barbara Zoo. Now, Gemina's no longer with us, unfortunately. She died a few years back, but she did live a very healthy life over 20 years. She made it to, I think, beyond what um, the age uh, expectation is for giraffes, and don't really know how she broke her neck. Could have been a fight at an early young age, or just a mishap. But she did live a great life. And if you have ever been to Santa Barbara Zoo, they still talk about Gemina. And this phenomena of the crooked neck giraffe became known all over the world. And that was uniqueness and free advertisement for the Santa Barbara Zoo for many, many years. And I believe I just saw a skeletal display that they have of Gemina in the zoo. And so the legend continues with Gemina. But that's a great example of uniqueness. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and break your neck out there while you're working. I know it's hard enough doing business these days. But what we're going to cover today is the following. What is uniqueness? Why is it important? And how do you get it? And we're going to go through the first 2 points very, very quickly, just to get the context, just to really understand, what's at stake, and what the whole idea is around uniqueness. And then we're going to spend the majority of this workshop digging in and getting a start on you actually developing your uniqueness for your business. All right? So, why should I buy from you instead of your competition? First off, what is uniqueness? A type of strategy. If you go by the Harvard Business School's definition, and why not, of strategy, what you do differently than your competition is actually the definition of strategy. We have a lot of different definitions of strategy in terms of plans and how we go to market and things like that. But in this context, we're going to talk about strategy again as what you do differently than your competition. And there is three types of strategy, just to give you guys a little bit of uh, again context. Innovation. Which is really just changing the game, right? This is the biggest type of strategy change where you're spending a lot of money on research and development, and you're really digging into the marketplace. You're trying to find, what is this new way of doing things, this new technology that's going to disrupt the status quo. And that's by far the most expensive type of strategy adjustment that you can possibly have. And then there's reinvention. And that's really changing categories or creating a new category. A lot of hard work is goes into this, but definitely not as much money as it would be to completely change the game with innovation. And the third way is what we're going to cover today, and it's the most simple way. It's not easy, but it's simple, and we're going to try to make it a little easier for you here today. But it's basically taking a common feature and owning it as your own. Taking a piece of your marketplace and making that your strength and your competitive edge and positioning yourself in the marketplace with that uniqueness. And uniqueness is absolutely the start of strategy, and examples of uniqueness and just to give you an idea of how simple uniqueness can be. Sometimes we overthink these things. We think that we have to create a big dissertation on how we're different than someone else, right? And it's really the simple the more simple you are, the better. Because if you take a common term and you can own it, like Starbucks did with community, right? They took a coffee house and they made it into a community place where people can hang out, a second place from their work or third place from their work and their home, and they created an empire off of that word community. Consistency, McDonald's, right? There's really no other brand when you think about the processes of who started this idea of being able to make processes so efficient and then to be able to duplicate them over 2,000 stores or more in the United States alone. Service, maybe sometimes when we think about service, we think about Nordstrom, that white glove service idea is the uniqueness of Nordstrom. Google, simple, right? There were a lot of search engines before Google. There were Busy, Overture, and Ask Jeeves, if you remember that. And Google came along and they basically did what? They just put that one simple box on the front page with that sole intention of that user just trying to type in a term and trying to figure out what's the most relevant to that term. Now, obviously, the algorithm and all of that was behind the scale of Google, but it all started with that simple idea of let's just have the search box and see what happens. Different, Apple, right? We all know Apple is different, and they put a whole campaign together around being different, and they like people that are different and innovative. That could be another thing for Apple is innovative, but different is what really launched or relaunched Apple at the time. And magical. So that's a little more sexy term, if you will, than the previous five. But who owns magical? Disney. And why do they own magical? Because it's a lot better to say that magic is involved with Disney than animation. No one is going to run around going, "Hey, let's go to Disney to go see that animation," right? It's the magic that people buy. All right, so summary, what is uniqueness? Write down what you think uniqueness is, or you could just think about it. We have the worksheets there, and you can write down in the worksheets as much as you want, or you can just think through this. But you have those worksheets to follow along afterwards and walk through. We're going to go through this stuff step by step. So what companies stand out to you as being unique? Just if you guys want to, put something in the chat, that'd be great. And then what makes them unique? And how does the business promote that uniqueness? So if anybody has any thoughts on that, if you want to share, we'll take a minute here to let you share. And while you're thinking about that, let me share with you a story from my personal life. So my wife, she loves a deal, and you can imagine my surprise that one day I walk in to the house and I see a trash can that's right there, and it hadn't been put into its proper place yet. And I was just, oh, you got a new trash can? She said, yeah. Don't ask me how much I paid for it. And I said, how much did you pay for it? And she said, $180. I'm like, $180? Are you kidding me? How do you spend $180 on a trash can? The person who clips coupons and makes sure that every percentage is taken off in these stores. And then she went about and told me about this trash can, and it's made by me. You may have heard of it, Simple Human. And Simple Human is known to create these household items that don't get in your way, right? They're functional and they're there when you need them, but aside from that, they don't get in your way. And that's what this trash can was about, is, sticking it over there in the corner, and it's got a few bells and whistles with a quiet little lid that comes down, and you know um, just simple bags that you can replace and doesn't take, and everything kind of fits really nice and snug. And so it works. $180. And I'd have to say that I would buy one again today, but this one's lasted probably, I don't know, 10 years or so, and I think it's got a 20-year warranty. So that's that uniqueness of this trash can, was basically being able to be functional but not in your way. And you could charge $180 for something like that. For a $10, $20 trash can, you can get 9, 10 times the amount of money on it. So that's an example of the value of uniqueness. So if you're paying attention to that story, maybe you didn't have time to think. So let me give you a few seconds. If there's anybody that wants to share about a company they think is unique and what makes them unique, let's do that while I take a drink. All right, go through examples. And now let's talk about why uniqueness is important real quick. Think about the consequences of not being unique. How does not standing out impact your business? And how will becoming unique help you in your business? Well, I've got these three little pictures here, and on the far right top, those are commodities, right? There's no bigger commodity than coffee. We've talked about coffee in the past, and spices and all this stuff. But we all know that the worst thing that you can possibly be is a commodity, where the drive to the lowest price is what makes the deal, is what people buy, right? And certainly commodities have changed over the years, because now there's organic and there's this and that, and that's all great because they found niches within those commodities to increase the price through that kind of uniqueness. But the last thing that you want to be is a commodity. If you're not doing anything differently than your competition, if you can't communicate anything differently than your competition, then the lowest price is going to win. And then over on the top left, I know that's hard to see, but that's just a sampling of all the different mediums the marketing conversation has taken through all the last 10, 15, 20 years. Remember when marketing was so easy? You buy an ad in the yellow pages, or you put an ad in the newspaper, or you send out a direct mail piece. And right now there's just so many different channels that are fragmented. So in order to compete in those fragmented channels, you really have got to have, once again, that message that just jumps off the page, that can hook people, that can grab people, that you can get their attention in this fragmentation and as a result saturation of those fragments. And lastly, relevance, right? So we got this little cartoon here. We've got, what you want to say to your prospect and what they're interested in. And then you've got this little thin slice where those two overlap, where the customer or the prospect really wants to hear exactly what it is that you have to say that's relevant to them. So, summary, why is uniqueness important? We got to combat these three things, right? We've got to combat fragmentation, we've got to combat commoditization, and we've got to combat the lack of relevance. All right? So are you ready to commit? We're 2/3 of the way there already. Now I told you if we're 15 minutes in, we're going to spend the next 45 minutes or so, working on building out your uniqueness. And are you ready? Just if you could message me in the chat, let me know you're ready to define your product or service, and we will get going. All right, awesome. Awesome. All right, so how do you get uniqueness? Well, you don't. You got to work at it a little bit. Again, you got to start digging and uncovering your uniqueness. And we're going to go step by step here today, and you can follow along with your worksheets. You can write down as we go in your worksheets. You're always going to have that copy. And step one. Step one, make a list of 3 to 10 qualities, features of your product, and then select your top 3 features. So maybe if some of you got a little head start. We sent out a short 8-minute video along with this exercise just to ramp up if you had some time to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through an example of a school that I helped start a few years back called Our Community School. And it's a charter school that ended up winning the California Charter School of the Year. So it's a really great example of leveraging uniqueness, and I'm going to take you step by step through that example that will hopefully show you the path of how you get this done. But the first step is, where do you get the list of features? Well, there's 3 places. There's your product's current identity. What is your product today? Right? When you sell your product, what is it today? What are your customers saying about your product today? Which you can look at reviews, you can look at what they say in your store or when you're talking to them. And you can ask them, right? You can say, hey, I'm just really appreciate your business. I'm just wondering, what it is that you like best about what we're doing. That's a great question to have, because many times that is uniqueness that you can leverage. Because if they like it the best and you survey other people, all of a sudden you're finding that people are liking this particular thing the best, then if they like it the best, then they're not getting it other places, right? And that's the uniqueness hint or clue that you can start going down. And what do you aspire to become, right? And you can sometimes go back to when you first started the business, whether that was, a month ago or 30 years ago. It's like, what was that burning desire? How did you want to change the marketplace? How did you want to, shake up the industry and do things differently and really be special and provide value like no one else, right? Well, you can do that at any point. I don't recommend changing, all the time, but you got to take a step back sometimes and go, hey, is my product really, or my service really delivering what I want it to deliver? Is it really impacting people the way that I want it to impact? And if it's not, then, what can be different? And again, it's a great way to ask your audience, hey, what do you, what other problems are you experiencing? What other things can we help you with? What do you need help with, right? And that brings out the promise, a new promise for your product. So take a look at those. Spend a couple minutes of thinking about what are your features of your product today? What's your reputation, and what's the promise? And here's my example for Our Community School. So what's a feature of our community school? Well, small class size, teacher assistance, music and art classes, safe, collaborative, community oriented. So hopefully you guys are getting the idea of a feature. Leadership that honors every student, great classroom support and instruction, innovative study. So those are my 10. I think it's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 10. And then I bolded the 3 that I'm going to work on today in this workshop. So music and art classes, community oriented, and great classroom support and instruction. All right, I'm going to take a quick break and see if you guys can bring out your 3 top features. And there's no mistake here. There's no, so you could choose them just for the sake of going through this workshop. Try to get on the green, but you can hit a hole in one later on. You can go back and you can rethink it and do it when you have a little bit more time. So don't get caught up in perfection. Let's just get 3 features that you find yourself talking about with your prospects or customers, and let's list those out. All right, step 2. Now, you got those 3 features. What I want you to do is write a short paragraph for each of the 3 features and describe more in depth what they are. Just talk a little bit about them, right? If you're selling these things, then hopefully you have the verbiage around these features when you're talking with your customers or your prospects and you're trying to convince them that, hey, this is going to be good for you, right? How they work and why they're important. If you don't talk to your customers, if it's just on a website, then what is it that you're saying around those features on the website? So write a short paragraph for each of the 3 features, and I'll give you my example here from our community school. Feature 1, community oriented. The school was started and continues to be run by a diverse community of parents, teachers, and community members, and even the students. This lives up to the charter that all shareholders have a voice and the benefit as we work together to educate our children. And this is really important because we all need to work together to bring the best education to our children. Feature 2, enrichment courses. Okay, what am I going to talk about when I talk about enrichment courses? Well, in a world where we're all test-oriented and structured and micromanaging our people starting at 5 years old sometimes, we believe that we must have enrichment like art and music and physical education to develop that whole child. We don't even know what problems these kids will have to solve in the future, and it's going to take a skill set that goes beyond the 3 R's to be true leaders in the next generation. So that leads us to feature 3, which is great classroom support and instruction. Beyond those 3 R's, we support a variety of C's as well: communication, creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, community, social conscience. It's difficult enough job to teach to the test scores these days, but it takes a special team of classroom support and instruction to be able to incorporate essential life skills into the curriculum. And we have that with the small class sizes, the teachers' assistants, and our amazing dedicated teachers who manage this difficult and innovative study. All right, so take a few minutes to write a couple sentences on each of your features, and we'll be back in, I'll give you a minute, 2 minutes to do that, okay? All right, 5 minutes later, here we are. And step 3, how'd that exercise go? Anybody have any comments in the chat? Is this making sense? I know we got short on time, but I'm hoping that the concepts are really clear, the steps are clear. Okay, cool. All right, so now what I want you to do is we're going to go on an adjective and adverb hunt. You didn't know this was going to be an English course, right? Well, we're going to look at the paragraphs that we wrote and the sentences that we wrote and we're going to try to find the modifiers, the adjectives and the adverbs. So what are some examples? Well, Volvo. What's the modifier that Volvo has been known for? Safe, right? That's how they think of themselves and how they build their cars is they build them so they are safe. That's the modifier. Domino's. It's always been fast. 30 minutes or less way back when, right? And now it's different, right? I noticed that they were raising money to, I believe they were giving discounts or giving money for other restaurants so that people wouldn't be using delivery services like Uber Eats and things like that. I may be mistaken, but I believe there's something there. Anyway, Federal Express overnight, right? That's been their modifier that they've built their brand on through so many years. So find your uniqueness in the modifiers. Look at those paragraphs that you wrote and see if there are any adjectives or adverbs describing your product or service or how you do your service or what your product delivers. So here's our example. In our community school, I'm pulling out any of these modifiers. So run by a community of parents. That wasn't enough. I had put diverse community. So diverse is an example there. We need to all work to bring the best. Well, no, we need to work together, right, to bring the education to our children. Not just education, but the best education. You see how this works? These are these important words that we gotta dig for a little bit, right? Develop the child. No, we're not aiming to develop the child. Everybody develops the child. We're looking to develop the whole child, right? And beyond the 3 hours to be true leaders in the next generation. Maybe authentic leaders, maybe prepared leaders could be better there, but you get the idea. Okay, here's another feature. It takes a team to be able to incorporate. Well, it takes a special team, right? Essential life skills, not just life skills, but those absolute life skills that you can't do without, essential. And we have that with our classes. No, we have that with our small classes and with teachers' assistants, and not just any teacher, but amazing and dedicated teachers who manage this study or this curriculum. No, it's not just the study, it's an innovative curriculum. All right, so go ahead and highlight or circle or think about what modifiers you're seeing in those sentences that you guys wrote. All right, cool. Step 4. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm, says Ralph Waldo Emerson. Another favorite quote of mine is from, I think it's Churchill, who says, a success is someone who fails over and over again and never loses their enthusiasm. So that's a good one. And it's so, it's true, right? That's what they say. You never give up, and eventually you're going to succeed. Look at Edison. How many thousands of ways he found not to create the light bulb. All right, so step 4, did your enthusiasm reveal itself? Your uniqueness is that one set of feature modifier that you are most passionate and enthusiastic about. So if you take a look at all of those, and I'm going to add a slide here, all of those features and modifiers, and just look at them and let them sink in, right? And just what do you get that warm fuzzy feeling about? What do you love to talk about most of all of those modifiers and features? That's one great way to find your uniqueness. because all of these features and then if you turn them into benefits, you're going to talk about it. You're not just going to talk about that one uniqueness. You're going to talk about all of those features because those features are important to everyone, right? They want these things. They want the whole child. They want a diverse community. They want to work together. So you're going to talk about all those things. Well, those things are going to go into your copy, but you're going to jump out in front of everybody else when you focus on that one uniqueness. Because when you start digging deeply into that uniqueness and your audience hears the difference and understands that, they're not going to remember all these other features and benefits if they don't buy from you right then and there. If they have to go talk it over with their spouse or their business partner or whoever, they're going to have one thing that they need to talk about, right? So you got to give them the tools to talk about that. Make sense? All right. So for our case, our community school, we chose a great classroom support and instruction, a special team of amazing and dedicated teachers as our uniqueness. Remember, the teachers is the feature. Well, every school's got teachers. Dedicated teachers. Yeah, you could say most schools have dedicated teachers. But what we have is a special team of amazing and dedicated teachers. And obviously, if we just stop there, you'd be like, yeah, well, talk is cheap, right? But if we keep talking, it gets a little bit more valuable. So what we're going to do is we're going to dig into special team of amazing and dedicated teachers, and we're going to ask one question 3 times. Why is that important? So we're going to ask, okay, so we've got a special team of amazing, dedicated teachers. Why is that important? We're going to, write that answer out. And then after we have that answer out, we're going to ask again, well, what's important about that? And we're going to write it out. And then we're going to ask one more time, well, okay, so why is that so special? Or what's important about that? And by digging in deep, 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 we're going to get from that superficial thought process of a special team of amazing and dedicated teachers, and we're going to dig into this emotionally. So let's look to see how this looks. Okay. Why is that important? Well, it's important because our amazing teachers develop the whole child. Okay, which means what? Why is that important? Well, developing the whole child means along with high intellect and test scores, our kids score high on humanity as they learn emotional intelligence through communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and social conscience. Okay. Well, what's important about that? Well, if that's all true, then our children will become empowered, ethical, and informed members of our community. So the value goes up as you dig deeper and deeper into this sentence. Okay? So let's spend a little bit of time here, and you can go into the chat, and we'll open this up also for Q&A at the end, and we can answer some questions to help this process, right? Because this is where the gold is, right? Once you've got that feature modifier and you dig in, why is that important? Why is that important? Why is that important? That's what's going to help you define your brand, define what you're trying to do, and make that all very valuable to your audience. All right, next up, applying the uniqueness. Okay, so here's the market positioning. So we're going to take what we just did and we're going to plug it into this template. And basically it's, what do you do? How does your competitor do it? How do you do it? And why is it important the way that you do it? Okay? Our community school, what do? We're a public charter school for K through 8 grade children. Okay, how does your competitor do it? Well, in a world where most teachers want to care for their children and keep them safe, there's still a lack of support where teachers must manage classrooms of 30 plus kids and their education suffers for it. Well, how do we do it? Well, with teachers' assistants and small class size philosophy, we free up our special team of amazing and dedicated teachers who manage a difficult and innovative study. Well, why is that important? Well, it's important because our teachers can develop the whole child. Along with the high intellect and test scores, our kids score high on humanity as they learn emotional intelligence through communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and social conscience. As a result, our children become empowered, ethical, informed members of our community. Right? Isn't that what we all want for our kids to make a difference? Right? That's really what this is all about. But anybody can say that, oh, well, we take good care of your kids and they're going to make a difference. And I'm sure they take good care of the kids, right? But can they articulate that, right? This is 100 words, right? In 100 words, this is being articulated. Once we can dig in and get very, very specific, very clear around what it is that we do and how we do it and why we do it. So when we're writing out that unique positioning statement, it's just the same thing. You just remove the questions, right? And we're a public charter school and so forth and so on. I'm not going to read it to you again. So go ahead and write out your unique positioning statement the best that you can. Write out what it is that you do. Then think about what's the status quo? What is it that everybody else does as they deliver the same service that you do? And then describe how you do things differently, using that modifier and that feature that you chose for today, right? And then go into that longer paragraph that was formed by the three whys, whys, whys. Make sense? All right, let's do it. All right, so other applications, all customer-facing mediums and opportunities. So you can apply this to your website copy, your print and digital ads, your brochures, your email signatures, your sales presentations, your social media profiles, your newsletters, your blogs, your articles, your testimonials. This is really the core concept, basically, of your entire business is what we created today. And as long as you stay true to that core concept, that core uniqueness, you can always compare and contrast, right? All of your medium, making sure that you're putting your methodology and your way of doing things apart from the way everybody else is doing them and clearly communicating that through all of the mediums that you do for your business. All right. So pick two of those other applications and implement those uniquenesses in the next week or so. I always recommend that website copy, that how to. I mean, not how to, the who are we, right? Who we are, about us, that page, you just wrote it, right? So you can put that right up there and be proud of that. You can put that on your social media profiles, but it's up to you. Take a look at all the places that you describe your business and and tweak it and hone it and make it sharpen it as good as you can, and then get it up there and get it out there for the world to see. All right, let's jump into Q&A. We've got a good half hour left to be able to go into some examples. So anybody that wants to volunteer, we can help you work through your uniqueness. And again, this is a very short course, so hopefully we can discover some great things. But if not, we can absolutely follow up later on if you guys need some help. There's no charge to follow up with me and dig into this particular exercise. All right, so who do we got? All right, everybody. Well, thank you. And again, my name's Ken Rickerman. You can reach me at kerickerman@gmail.com or 818-468-2547 is my cell. Yes, I know that that's an older picture of me, but I'm glad you didn't bring it up. And thank you. Thank you for attending. We appreciate all of your hard work. All we know how difficult it is being a business owner and providing services to your community, and know that you got champions on your side like SCORE. And I hope this proved useful. All right, everybody. Thank you.